Yes, it's me. It's the Raggedyman. It is 8 p.m.-ish on, he says, trying to find his script again, Wednesday, the 25th of November. This is the Big Stomp Live. As I said, I am the Raggedyman, convinced that each time someone says Cyberpunk 2077 will not come out, a Keanu Reeves movie dies. And joining me tonight to swamp through an ocean of geek culture to find the most idyllic of news stories for the past month, we have three sailors of the fine ship Bloody Interesting Things. First up, biomecha author, aesthetic warrior wrangler, and co-owner of the Super Fortress Hardcore Genki, we have PinkAppleJam.
Hello!
Hello, PinkAppleJam!
Hello!
How are you this wonderful day?
I'm fine,
in
thank
the meat
you.
gardens of the Super Fortress.
I've just fell in the lake, but I got dry ready for the Big Stomp just in time. So yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
And also joining you, we have cosplayer, anime watcher, and mirth maker. We've got Mel.
Hello.
With the first,
Obligatory dab down.
the first dab of the evening.
Of many.
It's so cute when they dab. Although it always makes me think of dib dabs. How are you this delightful day?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, fantastic. And finally, me and Mama, arse kicker and art maker, it's Claire. Ooh, it's Whoosh. Whoosh. It's Claire. You have done me a bamboozle.
Heckin' yeah.
Bamboozled fan.
And as always, we have the wonderful members of our Twitch chat throwing around trivia and never being called sus. It is all the members of the good ship HMS Peanut Gallery. Hello to you all. If you are there, please say hello. Chat seems sus. Throw up your comments. We'll throw them up. Our wonderful talkers will be there as well. And now, before we head off to investigate the salacious world of chess flirting, we start things off with PinkAppleJam. And what does PinkAppleJam bring to the table? PinkAppleJam brings this.
Dum dum dum.
Da, da, da,
Yes.
da.
Guess I was going to say guess the link actually, but the link is quite obvious.
They're all anime.
They are all
Are
anime.
they?
Or are they?
Da,
Yeah,
da, 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 da.
that is a very good point. Right, so are you ready for me to stomp on about this, Raggedyman? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay then. So I'm just ganking from my notes. So about 2 weeks ago, Wired, yes it is Wired.com. They ran a report on Netflix anime. It's heavy on action and sci-fi. It's extremely international. A lot of it is CGI. Is this the future of the Japanese art form? And their header was, there's something super weird about Netflix anime. So I'm going to quote one of the Japanese artists from the article, Tadashi Sudo, says there are clearly a number of anime that are made with the Western or American audiences in mind, and they are such that for Japanese people they wouldn't even be considered anime. So what is anime in the world of Netflix especially? He adds it's like turning an American sitcom into an anime, which I thought was an interesting comment because there's a lot of Japanese girls comics turned into live action shows, but I digress. I won't go there just yet. I continue. The quote, it's a calculated approach, a capitalization and a maximization of trends in anime production. It could change the art form forever. So yeah, Andy, if you want to throw that image up again, my collage that you did, my collage rather. Here we've got on the left we've got Glitter Force, which is part of the Toei Precure franchise, Pretty Cure, but it was Americanized, westernized as Glitter Force. Netflix original anime, I understand, is how they presented it. In the middle, we've got Dragon's Dogma. Admittedly, I've not seen. However, it was developed for an American audience in mind. On the right, we've got Carol and Tuesday. Oh, sorry, I've forgotten the name of or is it Shinkiro Watanabe, is it? Let me just check. Carol and Tuesday.
Go.
I think so. I want to get this
serious
right.
due diligence.
get me. It was Shinichiro Watanabe.
Woohoo!
There you go.
Oh,
I just wanted to check my nerd creds. And this is basically two girls from extremely different backgrounds discover each other and each other's music, form a band, make hit singles, and they basically go on the intergalactic version of Pop Idol, and all the trials and tribulations with enemies and stalkers and everything. So it basically is a sitcom, but is animated. So what's interesting about those three, I can talk mainly about Glitter Force and Carol and Tuesday because I've seen them the most. So Glitter Force is a Japanese anime that's been running for about 12 years now under the Pretty Cure franchise, and about halfway through like series 7, Netflix picked up one of the Pretty Cure franchises, rescripted it, redubbed it, and renamed it Glitter Force. And the first season script is very funny, like they roll with it. It's not a direct translation. It is actually worth a watch for a couple of episodes. It's insipid, it will blind you with color. It is really, really funny. It's probably one of the closest things that we'll get to watching Sailor Moon in the UK streaming, but that was a good example of Netflix adapting anime and presenting it as Netflix original anime. Carol and Tuesday was direct to Netflix. There's a lot of titles as well. I can name off the top of my head. Doro Hedoro, produced for Netflix, not for TV animation studios in Japan. I understand that TV anime has to get a lot of toy makers involved, a lot of sponsorship, and I think all that began with Osamu Tezuka, Disney of Japan, basically undercutting and underselling all the other anime productions just to get the product on television. For example, Astro Boy was supported by income of toys, merchandise, comics, Sweeties. Sweets were a big thing randomly because they came with a sticker. So the original traditional sense that due to global recessions has slowly been knocked down and watered down. Netflix is the new streamer in town, the new television in town. So it's kind of shaking things up. So the point of the Wired article was that, is it because Netflix have access to so much data, so much information they have, they know when you turn shows off, they know at what point you stop watching. They've basically been able to see behind the scenes and refine what types of story people like, which might be very different from perhaps a homegrown, organic, whatever that is, manga to anime adaptation, which is based very much on readership. In Japan, Japanese comic readers write into magazines and say what they do and do not like about a series, and it's kind of aggregating data that way traditionally, and has done for about 30-40 years, probably longer. Whereas the television adaptation is perhaps second in mind for that franchise. Whereas with Netflix are giving people a lot of creative control, a lot of money. They're basically going, right, make us like 11 episodes or something, whether it's based on a manga or not, which is really, really interesting. So the argument in the Wired article is that watering down what we as the Western viewers consider as anime. So... all right. So I think that's basically the gist of the argument, which is the background of where that article was coming from. But I'm gonna start off with that's interesting, because a lot of anime, especially as British kids, we knew it before many of us knew it was anime, were co-productions. So without co-productions as well, we wouldn't have Ghost in the Shell, which is a massive global franchise. So I'm thinking a little bit, what is the point of this article, but also like I kind of can't see where it's coming from. Is it a bit of a gatekeeper point of view, like, oh, don't water down our precious Japanese anime, or is it like, guys, we have all like grown up watching this sort of thing anyway? We grew up watching Thundercats, Mysterious Cities of Gold, Dogtanian. They were either co-produced or worked with an American. Battle of the Planets. Battle of the Planets was an adaptation. It wasn't a co-production. I'm going to jump in there.
Wrong line of thought.
Just saying. I think that's another Big Stomp discussion altogether. Like, spliced with that own animation. 7 Dark 7. Anyway, that's a dirty word to fans over the age of 45. So yeah, Claire's so the whole what is anime? Like that old 2000s
But
introduction
what is?
to our DVD. So I don't really understand the worry of this. It's at one point, yes, we're not receiving shows that are developed fully from a Japanese only audience. The whole point of anime and animation and humanity, I think, is to share ideas. We all relate. It doesn't matter what language we speak. In here, we're all going to cry at a sad scene. We're all going to gun for the protagonist to get out of a sticky situation. I don't know. I know that went all over the place there, but I'm gonna start with Raggedyman. So, did you read the article? I
did.
I did. Nail everybody for their questions.
I didn't know that was going to be an exam.
The main problem I had with it was, as you said, that there's this huge tradition in Japan of writing in and saying what you didn't like about the manga.
Kids doing that, I don't think they'd be bothered. You know what I mean? But,
well, no, all putting it. People are worried about Netflix being better at knowing what the audience likes,
and they're saying that it's a problem.
It's like,
is it really?
Now, I happily accept that there are some exceptions to this. But 99% of the reason that anime gets made is because people want money. Very simply. So
100%.
knowing what people, even on just a very simple level of knowing like what beats people like when people stop watching a certain type, how many people actually watch a series, because there's that huge thing with there's a huge thing with mail-in data that only a very small select group of people will do it, so you get this brutal bludgeoning by a very determined minority, whereas with Netflix data, they know what you're actually watching, not what you say.
It takes out a step. You don't have to find a stamp and send in the post.
You also can't lie.
Opinion. Yeah.
Well, you can lie, but you have to be an absolute lunatic, and it really won't affect the data at all. You do things like you put it on wrong.
Exactly. They have those cold hard facts, and that's what I thought was a little bit strange with the article. It didn't quite mention that.
I can understand a fear of a globalized product, because the more universal you want to make, different cultures and different countries, like it or not, when it comes to storytelling, have different traditions, they have different sensibilities, they have different likes and dislikes. So I can understand the fear of it becoming
homogenized.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like globalized, watered down.
Globalized. Yeah. But at the same time, the one thing that Netflix are really, really good at is knowing that there's a really large international market and knowing there's a really good national market. So they would very easily be able to set their analytics to just people in Japan and find out exactly what the Japanese audience wants, and then work out how much money they can bung at that audience.
And that's
so on the analytics side,
there's so many dramas and things that certain anime must knock data through. And we also on Netflix, I was gobsmacked at the amount of Asian TV adaptations, not just from Japan, but I think Taiwan and South Korea for sure.
Yeah,
and some of those are based on manga. I mean, there's a Korean version of Boys Over Flowers, which is a really long-running Japanese girls TV show, which is brutal, by the way, and I recommend everybody read it. It's on Shonen Jump randomly, but yeah, off you go.
Look, we watched Blazing High School. What was the?
Oh, Blazing High School Exchange Student, which I love. It was like
Blazing High School Exchange Student.
And they made a series out of it, which is amazing.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
And utterly Japanese, and was only fun because it was so Japanese.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I could not imagine it in like a British school.
If that was homogenized, it would fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my thought purely on the analytics side of it.
Yeah. What do you think, Mel? Did you manage to read the article beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, having watched a few of the Netflix animes that they've got, like Carol on Tuesday and Devilman Crybaby, which have been quite popular. Obviously, Devilman Crybaby was a revamp of the OG series, so it brings a new. I think it's good that they're bringing in a new audience from internationally to watch new content, and I know there's some people who have watched the new anime and have then gone back and watched the original series as well.
That's great. So that's developed the franchise. I mean, Devilman is such a strong story anyway, and it's still shocking and still amazing. And that's one of the few animes. Agretsuko is the other one. But Devilman is one. Yeah, Devilman is
so good.
and sub. Like, it was so good. I watched it. I came to bed, I think, 1:30 in the morning. I was like, that was good. And I was like, watched the entire thing. And I was like,
She mainlined it. There's no other way of describing it.
I was like, excuse me, Go Nagai is on television. It's my time. But I was so shocked to see it. But it was so good. And I think you're absolutely right, because now people are also looking at other Go Nagai titles. But I can't imagine anyone, perhaps other than Netflix. In fact, I couldn't even imagine Netflix throwing all that money at Go Nagai Studio and say, right, remake Devilman. You know, it's such an odd, strange, compelling, crazy tale, but they did it, and I was so impressed with that.
It's probably someone in Netflix who's just like, I like this. Let's
massive Go Nagai weeb.
Again,
my favorite author's show.
With Netflix, it's because they had the stats to back it up. They knew what people liked. They knew what would sell, and they knew how they knew how much revenue they'd get off it.
There's a reason why they chose to put up all the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood onto Netflix.
All of it, yeah, and the live action film as well.
Because we spoke about this on the show at the beginning of the year, when about half of the new season of anime was either part paid for, or part produced, or fully produced by Netflix. They have absolutely put their finger in the pie. And a lot of that is just for Japan. Just for Netflix Japan. So I think there's a certain amount of well, going back to what Laura said, there's a certain amount of preciousness about it, because they're terribly worried about Netflix putting money in and homogenizing it. But Netflix
fans or fandom. I mean, we could criticize fandom of any fandom till Kingdom Come. I think the pros.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's not. But yeah, the amount of anime I've consumed has mainly been through Netflix, because there was a period in between DVDs and streaming where it was actually quite hard. I couldn't afford to buy so many series, and I'd either borrow my friends or, hear secondhand what was going on in these shows, and I'd probably spent more of my money on manga at that time, because it was cheaper, because Tokyo Pop were releasing books for like 5-6 quid, whereas buy a DVD with 4 episodes on it still for 20 quid was still the norm. So Netflix have also brought on Agretsuko, which I mentioned. Now, that was absolutely not a series I was expecting from Sanrio of all companies, and Netflix put the money behind it and made it into a TV series because it was quite popular on the internet. So it seems like it does elevate internet properties as well. I wonder if you've done that to any others.
I found it quite interesting that the article mentioned about how a lot of Netflix anime has to have some kind of sci-fi element. Because the fun thing about Carol on Tuesday is the fact that they're on Mars, and if they weren't on Mars, like, you could quite happily just set it back on Earth, and a lot of the series would still make sense.
Yeah,
I think they use the whole they're on a different planet as a kind of. I wonder if they're trying to get elements of Macross into it, maybe in terms of like influence.
Yeah, good thing. I hadn't thought about it that way either, actually.
It just came to me. I was just thinking, what other shows was like, oh, it's singing in space, and I'm like, well, wait, that's Macross. Just without the robots.
Oh,
Do you think they put in Mars as a substitute for Japan as something that's significantly far away?
possibly.
Potentially, yeah.
Possibly. They might have done it just to expand the audience a bit as well.
Yeah, even Netflix watchers from Mars.
Martians.
Check it out.
Martian dollar is strong. Martian money is good money.
It's good. Yeah. Going back to Devilman as well, it kind of reminded me of watching the old manga videos. Like, that was the genre.
Posture check.
Genre, I think. Oh, posture check.
Posture check.
I'm very bad at posturing in this chair. I think I might have to return it.
I'm so sorry. Oh, it was Felf that's
So, if I may, Felflowne, is it anime?
Okay, first, Felflowne.
Felflowne.
It's okay, it's a running joke. Whenever me and Andy do this, I always tell him how to say it.
No, I
and he
just
immediately
can't
forgets.
fucking pronounce it.
Have you ever
Felflowne.
You know what? It's not the time. It's not the time. I was just reading the article, and I don't know. Sorry, Laura. I mean, I read the article before the event, of course, and
Refreshing your memory.
yeah, I was just refreshing my memory. Thank you. And because of the vindictive, horrible person I am, who is always willing to believe the worst of anime fans because they're so happy to prove me right every time, I read that article and I was just like, "Oh, are you upset you liked something?" Because that's how I read it, and I was just like, "Really?" So while you know I was preparing, I was like, "Who are you, Cecilia D'Anastasio? I'm going to look you up." So again, I went and looked her up, and every article she's written in the last year is like, so and so is failing at this. This is why this doesn't work. I'm like, oh bloody hell, cheer up. So maybe like we can see that through the filter of Cecilia just wanting to be a miserable what's it. But she was talking about a show that I know Keith, my husband, has watched called The Great Pretender, and she almost seems mad that she liked it. Like, how dare this be so fun? And I'm like, I don't know. Entertainment being fun? God, get out. And I actually was cast back to a time that I was helping out with the Scotland Loves Anime or Scotland Loves Animation. I forget which one. I think they're the same.
Maybe both. Why not both?
I think they are actually the same. I think Scotland Loves Anime is like the big one. I'm not sure, but they have films that they enter into a competition, and one of the films they entered into a few years ago was Your Name, the not the most recent, but a recent Makoto Shinkai title that has really taken everybody by storm. And the response to it that is not a Netflix adaptation. That was purely made in Japan. You know, that is a Japanese, that is anime pure breed, you know.
Yeah.
And someone from America sat there and said that they were being emotionally manipulated by the film into feeling things. And I was sitting there on the other side of the thing thinking, I don't know how to tell you how entertainment works. That's what it's supposed to do.
Feel emotions.
He's like, well, I feel like I was being guided through emotions. And I'm like, wow, do you want to go read Ready Player One? You're so woke right now. I just couldn't, you know. Oh. And I'm getting that feeling from this writer. And I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss any of the things that she's written up, although it's probably coming across that way. Actually, to be honest, and I will admit to this, I didn't expect it to be a woman. I expected it to be a man. It was a woman. So it means that we can all be as miserable as each other.
Yay, equality!
Equality! But yeah, she was talking about it, and I was reading it, and I was just like, she's talking about how, you know, it better be weird, otherwise people aren't going to like it. And I'm just like, yeah, you know, because people clearly aren't liking it, looking at all these Netflix ads. Oh, wait, sorry. I think you're just mad that, do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when Facebook went global and everybody suddenly got access to it. And then suddenly all the nerds were like, no, the internet is ours, Facebook sucks. And this is the same thing. She makes a point. Sorry, I'm nearly done. I'm sorry. She makes a point that there are lots of other streaming services which are more focused on, I hate to use it, but pure breed anime, whatever. I don't know. Anime's anime, whatever. Like Crunchyroll, like Funimation Now, if that's still a thing, I'm not sure. But Crunchyroll is the one where, you know, it's got literally every anime I've ever heard of. What the fuck ever. Excuse me. Was that in context? I need to.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Keep it going.
And it's funny, Laura, because actually, I'm not jumping ahead, but this is actually kind of dovetails in with what I'm going to talk about. So I'm trying not to like use up all of my ranting now. But yeah, I think you have to take that article in the context which it is taken, which is nerds are having to share stuff now more than ever, and some of them don't like it, and it's a lot of them. It's kind of joined in with like younger trauma. Do you know what I mean? When they've been mocked for liking these things,
Totally.
or they've been bullied, and then suddenly everybody's going on about how cool they are, and they're trying to make a difference between what people are doing now and what happened then that was wrong and got them in trouble. So they're like, well, we are the people who deserve this because we've gone through all this. But part of me is just like, you just got to, it's entertainment,
Yeah, totally. And instead of
watch it.
kicking people out the door, go look at this amazing thing and embrace it. And I genuinely try to Evangelionize, anime and stuff. Whenever I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh, so what sort of things do you like? And then try and think of an anime that they might like to get them into the anime. Because a lot of people have never even set foot even in a Forbidden Planet. So to use it as a bridge, not as and that's the thing. It's like, I found that even as a gatekeep-ish article, it didn't quite make sense because of how purebred anime is made from these reader opinion cards. I'm like, Netflix data is essentially the same. So it's like, even if you write an article, make sure that it covers everything, and then think.
I feel like this article would have dealt with maybe just talking to one person who works in like the UK distribution side, because they will tell you what goes into making a successful show. And I don't know if anybody saw, but Cloud Matsuri was last week. And,
we caught one. Yeah.
Did you it was good, yeah. And then they had a chat with the company president, and he asked him all kinds of questions. And some series he had to say, I would love to release that. It may not be financially viable, because it's funny because Glitter Force being one of the ones that you brought up there, Laura.
Interesting, yeah.
It's an interesting one. And I spoke to, it's quite funny, if he sees this, he'll know immediately who I'm talking about. But I spoke to someone about this show at MinamiCon, which was a convention just before the world ended.
This was the last convention in the olden days.
The last time I saw all of these wonderful people in person.
And me.
But I was talking to him, and I literally, the words Glitter Force came out of my mouth. And I think he almost reached over and squeezed the life from my lungs because he was so angry. And I was just like, pretty girls go brr. But, he was cross because, of course, it's like Laura said, it's now, Laura, confirm to me, is it the same show but with different dubbing? Is it cut differently, or is it a completely different show that just takes place in the British universe?
It's the same show cut differently with new names. And I think people are traumatized by the anime that we had to get westernized to such an extent that it would be televised 20 years ago. And I think that fan reacting, squeezing the life out of you, making you go brewer, was almost a trauma response, or,
I don't want to say that to belittle it. But there was nothing put on about his reaction. He was super mad.
That's so strange. But to be honest, I will deck anyone that comes up to me and has a go at magical girl shows, because I was like, you know nothing. You know absolutely nothing about this. You're not even the correct demographic. So don't even go there. I will hammer you.
Laura, no, there is no correct demographic. No.
Fair.
Do you think Cecilia D'Anastasio watched Sailor Moon as a kid? Because if not, it shows. And she watched them immediately.
I'm gonna tell you my trauma response to the Sailor Moon American dub once. It's a long story, but I actually saw it subtitled, and then I saw it in French, and then I went to New York and actually picked up the VHS, shipped it all the way home with me, got an NTSC player. Oh my god. I've never seen
this. Was in the bad days. Now you just
was the bad days. So we have segued into trauma responses, but I could do an entire stomp on what the fuck Sailor Moon. What a nice different
trauma response.
Don't get me started.
It's such a difference considering how I watched most of Sailor Moon, the English, like the old English dub from Dick. I watched it all on YouTube.
Did you really?
Wow. Yeah. I don't care what people say.
That was back in the
It
day
was
when
the
YouTube
only way
didn't
for
give a
British
shit
people
about
to
anime.
see it. Seriously, but we have gone round the houses with this. But I found it
Sorry,
really
I
interesting.
feel like I might have pulled us off topic.
No.
and I'm sorry.
It's
No,
been
you
a
haven't, you
really,
haven't.
really good and interesting discussion because I think what everybody was saying was like, yeah, I was thinking that at the back of my head after reading the article. So yes, so thank you for confirming.
It just seems to be that it's the two deadly combinations that I think are unique to anime, or specific. There is a specificity to it in anime. Number one, the innate urge of nerds to gatekeep, because
Instead of embrace, because of their response.
they do, because you used to have it's all about cachet. Before it got big, there was cachet for having the video. There was cachet for knowing the titles. There are all these ways you could have cachet. Suddenly, when anyone can download the entire discography, the entire season in one evening and read all the Wikipedia articles about it, you're in a world where you can be conversant in anime without actually watching any. You just keep up with the Wikipedia. So
I
naturally,
haven't watched anime since 2001, so.
What's anime?
The other thing,
anime?
and this is something I have been saying for a long time, there is definitely a level of what is politely referred to as Orientalism and what is bluntly referred to as racism within anime,
Within anime
fandom, wherein they like the fact it's weird and foreign.
The
And they're all like,
fetishization,
it's the fetishization of another
the whole
culture.
waifu culture of anime fans.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
want it to be inaccessible, and they want it to be different, and they want it to be unique, even though the hell of a lot of anime and a hell of a lot of manga is quite straightforward and quite non-mental.
But all of these fans.
Sorry.
No, so I was just going to say, like, anime wouldn't be where it is if Osamu Tezuka hadn't obsessed about the Disney post-war theatrical releases, sneaking sketchbooks into Bambi and drawing everything that he saw in the aisles and bringing it to the Japanese audiences, then Japanese artists
don't tell the nerds
taking
that,
they will explode. Absolutely explode. But I'm also like, don't even begin to talk about this with me unless you're going to bring these things to the table.
Your Name, massive success in Japan, much to the chagrin of an awful lot of nerds. Huge success in Japan, huge success globally, very Japanese, but also cribbed a bunch of stuff off 80s John Hughes movies. So
that's a new angle.
Andrew, the skies were really pretty.
No, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying even this really, really Japanese thing that the Japanese audience loved is kind of global already. But people are very...
Who knew?
If you completely, as I've said before, the amount of anime and manga that, Batman at one point was the #1 selling manga in Japan.
Oh yeah, Kia Asamiya, the adaptation of it. Yeah, that was really
a running argument, isn't it? That people define anime differently. Because in Japan, anime is anything that's animated. So simply anime is
drama.
Tom and
Jerry. I used to ask my students and their mums what's their favorite anime, and they go Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry. It's Tom and Jerry.
Or it's when people try and argue with me that Studio Ghibli isn't real anime, and I'm just like, oh.
Who are these people?
It's funny you
can they turn on their locations? Because I just want to talk.
It's funny you mentioned Studio Ghibli because, Studio Ghibli for a lot of people at sort of my age and around my sort of age group, it was their first introduction to anime movies because of Film 4 and Disney doing the dubs for it. So if John Lasseter wasn't such a weeb about Miyazaki, he wouldn't have funded all the dubs.
Absolutely.
All the dubs of Ghibli movies, and then we wouldn't have had them. So then there'd be a lot of people who have no idea about.
Nerds have no idea how much they owe to rich, old, eccentric white people like Steve De Laurentiis.
This is you saying.
And Lou Scheimer.
Bearing in mind that the first attempt was that Warriors of the Wind job.
They tried and didn't really get it right there. Yeah.
They did not get it right. If anybody out there wants to have a Google for Warriors of the Wind VHS art, they've basically done 3 men on one of the June Sand Snake characters. A little Naushka's a background character riding her aircraft.
Oh,
in the
woman!
corner. How dare? And I was just like, well, yeah. And it's no wonder that back then, mid-80s, Ghibli Studios sent a samurai sword and said no more cuts.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing this
I
ever
forgot
again.
that. Oh, it's
Yeah.
metal.
Yeah.
Miyazaki was literally just like, just no.
Yeah, just
No.
no thanks. Yeah.
But-
And we didn't
Stop
get
that.
anything until Lasseter invested all that money to get
Yeah.
the dub sorted out. And then
Because he promised, like, we won't edit it in any way. We'll literally
Because
just
Yeah.
redub
He
it.
knew
Yeah.
he knew it would sell. He knew it was unique enough to be noticeable, but he also knew it was ubiquitous enough for people to connect to it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And the other thing is that was a doorway for the weird shit. So
Well, if we didn't have everyone being weebs back then, we wouldn't have the amazing Iron Giant film, which is
Yeah.
basically a Ghibli film from a
But-
Western animation studio, flipping that
Yeah.
argument back on it. We wouldn't also have I've forgotten it. I was just going to say something that's gone out of my mind. Come back to me.
what I was trying to say is that the lizard will eat its own tail. If we have all this, what is seen by some people as homogenized, sanitized, safe anime hitting up on Netflix, and that gets popular, eventually that internal market for Netflix will get saturated. So they will then look to the weirder stuff, the stuff that's, because they'll go, right, well, now we want the Crunchyroll market. We want the Funimation market. We want whoever else has turned up in the interim market.
Absolutely.
So
They're
they
not
will
gonna
start
still...
putting in the weird shit because
Yeah, and those
they know
demographics
they'll
will
get the markets
change.
going. So,
Yeah,
so
those markers will change. So yes, they will be importing and therefore making different things, whatever brings the money in for whatever period of the year.
the best.
Two things I was
always follow the money.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So two things I was going to say. The thing that I forgot that just flew out of my head was basically there's a lot of weebs now working for Disney. And all the other animation studios, because you can see it in the animations and the visual grammar. I recently started watching, I mean, we all know what a big anime fan Rebecca Sugar is, making Steven Universe. And I've recently started watching Star versus the Forces of Evil, which is basically a very silly, funny, magical
many
girl.
anime
It's
markers
so
in that.
quick because animation fans have absorbed anime from all over the world because they now have access to anime. It's not a secret anymore. That's the thing. And people, the kids today are learning and watching these visual nods to famous anime shows that they don't even realize. It's like The Simpsons putting in all those film references growing up, and then when you watch a film, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this in The Simpsons.
And at the same time, the next generation of anime makers are going to be sitting in their room in Tokyo watching all this stuff on all this Western stuff on Netflix and going, I'm nicking that.
Well, that's exactly
that's
what...
going to be fueling the
and that's
next
exactly
wave
what
of anime.
Gainax did, because they'd finished making... It wouldn't be Kill la Kill, it would be Gurren Lagann. They all went on holiday and they binged loads of American comedy. And they all love Powerpuff Girls, and they binged a whole load of what's that one? Drawn Together. They watched that sitcom where different cartoons, and they said we want to make our own version of that, and that's how Panty and Stocking got made after like
brilliant.
a holiday binge watching. And it's like, so don't talk about these separated things because artists and humans are influenced by other pieces of work. We are all human. And now
we're only going to keep getting influenced by each other the more connected the world gets. And like you mentioned Agretzko, which is one of my favorite things that's come on Netflix recently. And this is, I don't mean to take us too far off topic, but one of the things that I really enjoyed about that and found very encouraging is the fact that that show is subversive as hell, right? It's basically a middle finger to the Japanese work ethic of go, work, marry, die. And I'm oversimplifying there, but there's very much like a kind of a pattern in people's lives that has been expected of them. But a lot of people have always been unhappy in that pattern, but it's never been socially acceptable to admit it. And while a lot of people will be watching it in English, like I did, because the dub is freaking amazing, by the way.
It's funny, absolutely.
But so some people may not even realize it's Japanese at all because they're just not looking for it. But if you know where it comes from and you know who's writing the episodes, it shows a shift in attitude and a younger voice being spoken in a way that maybe wouldn't have been heard, or definitely wouldn't have got to the Western world. So interesting. Some people may see it as a breakdown of, you know, traditional roles and, oh, this is bad. But I mean, I'm a subversive shit anyway, so I'm just like, yes, like the power.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that makes people have to sit in a shell that makes them deeply uncomfortable and unhappy, I am absolutely going to try and kick off about that, because that's not the point of life. You know, don't go through life feeling uncomfortable and sad, because that's not how we should be. Wow, that got really heavy.
Thank you, Cecilia, for bringing this to us, even though you are a bit miserable. We love you.
Great research. Thank you for researching my article, because I clearly didn't do that at all. I'm going to do that now. I have standards to live up to now.
I'm such a weirdo. I'll immediately be like, who wrote this? Why? What was their agenda? I need to
Who
find
hurt
out.
my fans? Right. Moving on. We have Mel. And Mel we'll be talking about this.
What's happening?
It's
so, Mel.
Oh, right. I thought that was an error screen, and I got really confused. Like, Twitch is broken, Andrew. Oh,
yeah,
wait,
Twitch
no,
is broken. Twitch is
No.
what we're talking about, and it's like,
I am not smart.
So basically, a lot of people who might know about the whole Twitch issues with DMCA going on in the last couple of months. There's a few streamers that I've been following who have had to knuckle down and remove all of their Twitch. They've had to knuckle down and remove all of their clips and VODs because they might be getting copyright strikes just for random stuff. And the thing is with gaming streams is a lot of Twitch is playing games, but when people are getting striked just for playing a video game with their viewers, and Twitch's response, there was this tweet that there's been countless memes in response to it, and Twitch's response was, just mute the game audio. And as someone who loves game audio, as especially if you're playing it blind, if you're playing a game blind with your audience, you need the music and the audio to really get immersed into it. And yeah, and don't just play with your voice shut and don't stream it. And it's like, if you have to play it, you're missing out on the great immersion. Like, people got paid to make that music, and now people are being like, you can't listen to it. It's fine. So the amount of people who've been making tweets and memes of them playing Guitar Hero but muted, so they're like, oh yes, this is my greatest thing ever. So they've just been fiddling around with the guitar and you can see what's going on, but there's no music playing, and they're like, oh, I'm just doing my Twitch safe stream here. And it's even got to the point where people have been streaming with the music off, but now they're getting striked for sound effects in the game. So someone did a cooking stream, and their blender got striked because it sounded like a Skrillex song.
Are we sure that wasn't a gag? Because
that was true.
I'm 50-50 on that one.
I'm
On the one
Googling
hand,
it right now.
I can see that being a joke. On the other hand, I've listened to Skrillex.
We actually went to see him live. I was like, nope, no blenders here. Oh
my respect would go up if he started using blenders, because old industrial head, if he's putting blenders in there, I'm down with that.
And the thing
No,
is,
it's legit.
like,
It's legit.
They're now they're now DMCAing stuff like sound effects that are in sound effect libraries that the games would have paid to that they would have paid to
They'd have
put
bought
in the
effect,
and have bought the license for it. But because obviously when you're streaming it and it's like, you don't have a license to play that sound effect on your stream, so it's now getting striked. So people playing Persona 5 and they get a police siren striked. and let me have a look at some more of the examples, because some of them are just like bird and insect noises and Hitman blood money. Wind gusts. Like even wind gusts, and it comes up as a medium windstorm with gusts, whistles, and a low rumble from the Hollywood Edge sound effects library. And it's just like, man, and that's in World of Warcraft Classic as well. So like not even MMOs and stuff. And I could get it. It comes to the point where it's like, do we now have to just like make our own sound effects? So people like, do we play the game and just be like playing the game?
To be very dull and to cast no opinions, I went and I checked this up.
Sure.
Okay. And legally, developers own the rights to their games. This would include so they are under copyright law, they do own the rights for use of the game, which includes images, sounds, and video legally. So if you are playing a game, if you are streaming a game, it is broadcast, it does count as broadcast, it is technically copyright theft. There is a clause for fair use, which very broadly, depending on where you are, which domicile you're in and all that stuff, covers things like criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, and research, where you don't need permission or payment for the copyright. Quite where the line is on that is pretty much down to enforcement. But legally, on a technical level, streaming is a copyright nightmare because the whole game streaming process is based on breaching copyright.
It's true. And also the fact that you can sub to someone's content and people will get paid for playing a game that they haven't made, of course, as well, is a whole other kettle of fish.
But it is the main reason I bring this up is because most of this is being done automatically, and it seems very much that the copyright laws as they currently stand are not keeping pace with technology. No. And people like Twitch are trying to avoid problems by using automated systems, purely because of the amount of content being generated. And it's starting to get to the point where my understanding is certain games companies are just going, what the bloody hell are you doing? No! Don't do that! You're killing us!
It's like I remember even on YouTube, I think there was a similar event a few years ago where they upped the sensitivity of what was being caught by DMCA on YouTube, and even things like all sorts of stuff was getting flagged, and it was like you could have this and that. Like even now I keep getting emails from YouTube saying a copyright has been claimed on this art stream you did where you played Spotify in the background, and I was just like, yes. I think I ended up just taking down the video for it because I was just like, because I knew I was going to get a bunch of claims, and it wasn't like a strike or anything. It was literally just every now and then a company's like, oh wait, that's ours, and I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, people have had to take down years worth of videos, which I find so sad, really, because Twitch is a subsidiary of Amazon, right? So, you know, I just don't understand why, if you're streaming, Twitch was supposed to stream video games, I guess. I'm not quite sure of how Twitch began, whether that was the intent
to do
video games specifically.
A different, Justin.tv is how it started as.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm not entirely sure on what the original purpose was, but I feel like it became popular because of video games.
Video games, exactly. And now they're just kind of, someone out there had the great idea of like monetizing or demonetizing and snapping at everyone when that should have been put in place in the first place, and better things. I mean, I loaded it up for my own streams because I don't like drawing in silence, but it's called Soundtrack by Twitch, and it's like Twitch licensed artists, and there's a good variety of stuff there, but it's not going to match the game you're playing. And if the game's getting free advertising with your talk and your soundtrack, the sound effects over the top, I don't really understand why there's that hard line. No, you can't.
Part of the problem, again, this is not opinion, part of the problem is because one of the ways of maintaining copyright is enforcement. So people have to enforce or they can start losing copyright. Also, you as a platform, Twitch will want to avoid problems. It will want to avoid being sued shitless by someone. So because part of the enforcement issue is it's a lot easier to go after Twitch than someone who you have no idea where they live, and Twitch would give you their IP address. So Twitch are faced with a situation where they're trying to avoid companies turning around and just suing them for all the money they possibly made. The other thing is presumption doesn't work with copyright. If you turn around and go, we are going to assume someone's fine to use this game unless you say otherwise, that puts Twitch in a really weak position where it's basically, if anyone comes along and goes, you copyrighted this and you helped this person breach copyright because your T&C said you're going to help them breach, they will then get sued to hell and back. Again, I have very strong opinions on the current state of copyright, but that is the current state of copyright.
So how's it going to go?
Oh, I have no idea.
Do we think? What is the future of Twitch?
It hasn't kept up, has it? It hasn't kept up with. And I'm amazed that a platform that's basically designed to do this one thing can't keep up with the one thing that because it's too busy trying to get people to gobble up affiliate contracts and sign them into servitude.
That's a fun new thing, is that you can now pay your way into affiliate by signing up to a monthly subscription to an Amazon affiliated product.
I saw that the other day. They're just
and you get everybody affiliate status, and it's like all the people who worked hard to get affiliation status are now going like, oh, okay.
But you also have the issue that people are fundamentally making millions off of games, and I have not
millions. The affiliates don't make
but
it's the
some of the okay. Certain pro gamers who will not be mentioned on the bottom left of the bottom right of the screen make millions. But there is the issue of as I said, you've got certain personalities who are making tons of money off these games, and it's like, well, are the actual games making any money? I've not seen any hard evidence proving a direct connection. Not to say they haven't, not to say they have, just that it's a very... I can understand why it's getting quite... My hands are getting so wavy. There's a lot of money involved, and people are worried they're not getting their slice. So... Thanks.
I just think it's really sad when there's people who've worked really hard to make music for a game, and even like game music is like one of my most favorite genres I like to listen to. And Twitch's response was literally just like, "I'll just turn it off," because it's like, yeah, you can enjoy it off stream, but a big thing with video game streaming is sharing the game with other people who might have never played the game before, and they want to know what it's like.
Yeah, it's advertising that game.
Yeah. So there's people who see a game and they're like, oh shit, I want to play this. So they go and buy it for themselves. Like, there's a lot of games that I've seen people play and I've been like, oh, that looks good. Maybe I'll try it out for myself. There's also been a lot of games like Assassin's Creed that I've been watching my friend play, and I've just been like, I'm just going to watch you play it because I'm not going to be playing. not going to be any good at this game.
There are a number of games that I watch Let's Plays for, because let's be real, I'm not going to play them. Yeah,
I don't have the time. Let alone the cash to spend on all the games I want to play. So I'm going to watch my friends play them, enjoy it vicariously. It's a great way to. At first, I didn't understand, whereas now I'm like, I get it now. I totally get it. It's a really good idea.
It's definitely.
I kind of get it, but I play Warcraft, so if I'm watching someone else play games, I'm like, I should be grinding.
Well, this is it, because I have Final Fantasy 14 on this screen, and then on this screen I have Twitch, so I'm like playing a game whilst watching a
right
game.
Now?
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I fucking wish.
You're multitasking to have. No, for whatever reason, I'm really good. I'm just chewing my way through 1950s black and white sci-fis, I'm really good at playing WoW and just having them in the background. Felflowne, do you want to read out those facts?
You have to read now, please.
Sorry. No, he's doing it on purpose now.
Felflowne.
Felflowne. Felflowne.
Yeah, I say it with an accent though. Flown over here.
Felflowne. Claire, do you want to read out the? Do you want to? Carry on.
All right. So,
what am I reading?
I don't know.
I'm not Google
that
big paragraph of text you spammed into the channel.
What am I reading?
Okay.
I'll read it. What am I reading? I'll read whatever.
Your thing about Ninja Belvins.
Oh, from the chat, yeah.
Well,
so I found that on an article that I just googled, and obviously sources. No one's ever going to really come out and go, haha, yes, I earn £500,000 a month from streaming, because God, they never hit the end of it. So there's very few actual primary sources for this, but someone has worked out based on how many followers this person has, how many subscribers. So basically, one of the top most popular gaming streamers is a guy called Ninja, Tyler Blevins. And they said when he was on Twitch, I don't know if he still is, but when he was on Twitch, he had 160,000 paid subscriptions and 13 million followers. And if the subscribers pay $5 a month and he gets about half of that, it basically means that just from subs he made $400,000. But also, like most pro game streamers, he will have his own website, he will have merch, and again, it's like it's not making money from the game per se. Like selling a t-shirt that says Tyler Ninja Blevin on it is not going to be like infringing any Nintendo copyrights, but at the same time, nobody would know who he was if he wasn't streaming other people's games. So it's a mess, and I'm really glad I don't have to work in that field.
It's to my mind, it's a classic example. YouTube had it, peer streaming and peer-to-peer obviously still have it, and there's loads of these new technologies come out. They get huge on copyright issues, and then after all the money starts being made, people go, hang on, we've got to resolve this. I just want to read out one from the from the Peanut Gallery. AI wants to play games. If they go after musicians who stream on their own music on Twitch, that's a whole new kettle of fish.
That's really interesting that you said that, because that actually happened to a YouTuber who produces music, and he got copyright claimed for some of his songs, and they were like, you didn't make this, and he's like, but I did, the songs that I made. That
is exactly who I was thinking of.
That's absolutely incredible.
It's hilarious.
I mean, we see it online as artists who like, oh, you've reposted without crediting the artist, and the artist who posted it's like, that's me.
Yeah,
I did that. And like, people are so thirsty to jump on and assume without assuming that maybe someone that they're talking to online actually drew the thing. Can't say it's happened to me, but I do know at least 2 other people where this has happened, and I was like, that's just embarrassing.
It's like the complete opposite of when you're drawing a picture and someone comes up to you and says, did you draw that? And when you're still drawing the picture with a pencil, and you're just like, nah, nah, mate.
Did you draw this?
Yeah.
I guess I did.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What's this pencil doing in my hand?
All I'd like to say is, as part of needlessly aggressive products have never been questioned as to whether they drew it or not. People have asked it in condescending and questioning ways.
Why did you draw?
Yeah. Did you draw this? Do you need help?
I want to know why.
But as I said, some of the problem, and that things like that guy getting hit, the actual artist getting hit by that, is the raw quantity of material going through these places means it has to be automated. The enforcement has to be automated. We're now in a situation where I think we're getting, we're not far off a year a second being uploaded to YouTube, I believe.
1 year per second.
How
is there enough space on the internet? I don't know.
Because servers are dirt cheap. Because server space is incredibly cheap, and most YouTube video, the average number of views on a YouTube video is something like 5. It's really, really low.
I know mine are.
Yeah. The internet.
The internet is never
Yeah.
full.
All else, the cost of server storage has got so low.
I remember going from Yahoo Mail that I maxed out a number of times at uni to Gmail, and at the bottom it was like, you're using X out of your bajillion. And I'm like, what? This is magic stuff. That's how it works. It's all on OneDrive.
This is my understanding of how the cloud works. We just send it into the sky,
Arrow.
and then it rains back down onto us.
I bless the rains down in Serverland.
So we're currently at, he says, trying to do some maths.
Yeah,
31, 2, 3. So 30,000 hours of content is uploaded to YouTube every hour. Is the best figure I've
30,000
got.
hours.
That's
That's
So that's-
1,250 days. That's more than a year. That's
no.
like
So that's 8.3 seconds of video gets uploaded to YouTube every second.
8.3
8.3 seconds. 8.3 seconds of video gets uploaded to YouTube every second.
I don't know about you,
8.3
Mel,
seconds per
but
second.
they're talking maths now, so I'm just
No,
going...
basically, it
It's
is now
kind of,
impossible to keep up with YouTube. It's
Yeah.
8 times faster than real time. 8 times more than real time.
It's accelerating away.
Every
Wow.
day, a week of content is uploaded to more than a week of content is uploaded to YouTube.
I mean, but
It's
most
just-
of those videos are probably
Takes
pure
me a
shite,
week to
so we're not
catch
going to
up
watch
with
Oh
them.
them.
Christ!
anyway.
Yeah, the internet is now.
Subscriptions.
The internet
I
is.
don't feel any
is-
pressure to watch this.
Yeah. Throwing documents into. Yeah. I have tried
Yes.
that. It was a strange night. But with
You
that,
go
with
for it.
that
Oh, no.
level of stuff going through, just there is no human way to take a nuanced and subtle approach to it.
No, it all
It's
has
just
to be
hit it with a
AI.
hammer, hit it
And
with a hammer, hit it with a hammer.
basically for the next how many years continuously perhaps, because technology is going to evolve quicker. We've just got to deal with AIs flinging enough shit out there and hoping that some of it sticks.
I think some of it is that
As opposed,
people
because you're not going to hire enough people to be able to go
Yeah.
through it and make that call. So, but what does that mean for Twitch gaming though? Like streaming with Twitch's own music channel, which isn't going to match. Can you imagine playing some cute little twinkly pop songs when you're playing Call of Duty or something? I'm like, that wouldn't work.
You know,
I mean,
I
I'd
feel like
play
shooting you. I feel like being
version.
friends.
I'd play a cute version of Call of Duty, but it wouldn't marry. You know what I mean? Like the game as it stands with the Twitch soundtrack.
there is some discussion of micro licenses and broad licenses. So, for example, Nintendo release new game. That's the name of it, new game, and they turn around to someone like Twitch and they go, right, we will take this slice off every video and they can use our game.
right,
Also with the music of new game, rated
Call of Duty.
Oh god, I am being spammed by one of the participants of the show. So that kind of micro license. Also the idea that like for Star Wars or for a band, you'd be able to just get a micro license off of them and have a universal coding for it. So you'd literally be able to go, here is my 30-digit thing with my license. This will block out your wrecking system. It's a certain distance off because of the complicated nature of licensing at the moment anyway, because it's very old school. But there is hope that this will come along. But I think until then, I think people taking part in the great wide new world of streaming and whatever comes next, because we've got no clue what it is, but we do know it's going to get bodged up. I think we've just got to learn to wear a helmet and just go, right, this shit's going to happen. There
Assume that it's
needs
gonna
to be a
happen and
certain
work
amount
around it.
of internet literacy and internet history with the people partaking in it. I appreciate the fact that it doesn't get around the fact that it's bloody annoying.
Yeah, and it's
But there
kind of the
just needs
first.
to be.
It's only kind of just starting this mass DMCA take down Kawaii. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think there's.
One of the funniest things as well is that the new Breath of the Wild game has come out everywhere except America, and apparently people were streaming on Twitch and getting banned because they were streaming content that isn't technically out yet, despite the fact that it's out elsewhere. Oh,
Yeah.
the Hyrule Warriors one, not Breath of the Wild 2. Sorry,
Wow.
I got confused. The
It's
one
not
that's
Hyrule Warriors. It's something else. It's Hyrule Warriors was a game that came out a few years ago. This is like, oh, do you know what? I'll find it. Carry on.
This is a global platform.
But
But it has to be
well known
because it's American based.
Yeah, that's it.
And like,
Any-
because it's Legend of Zelda, it will have those Nintendo noises that are only applicable, so everybody knows them. Exactly.
There is no global
Shoot, did I just get a
copyright. There is no global license single law. So any global platform has to be placed somewhere, and that place will be what rules it's under. So yeah, they've got to. If it's in America, they've got to operate under American law, and if it's not being released,
Yeah,
wow,
Hyrule
how much
Warriors
could they
Age
get
of Calamity.
sued for? Because
So it is the new Hyrule Warriors one.
I'm hearing all this, and I'm like, yeah, but I know how many millions they can just get absolutely reached for, and it
Yeah,
would
I think
work.
as well, like, people need to remember, because just because the copyright law hasn't caught up doesn't mean it's not going to. So you bear in mind that some people have been acting in effectively a copyright vacuum for, most of their adult life, and they're suddenly going to get hit, and it will just, their main response will be, that's not fair. And
Yeah.
no, it's not, but neither is anything else in the world. So
Yeah.
I want to be, I'm sympathetic in the fact that they've basically been like, well, I guess this is fine, so I'll keep doing it. And then suddenly it's not fine. And it's not their fault, but at the same time, it's going to come down to them,
There's been a major disruption recently on the fan art community, on the fan commission community, because a gentleman in America came up with an amazing thing where he offered to enforce people's copyright on sites like Etsy by doing word searches.
I've heard of
effectively.
This guy. I've heard of this guy.
As in, he searched for keywords. He didn't fill in words down and across.
No, it's
Backwards 8 letters.
Yeah, no. So the
DMCA.
guy's basically, hey, big company that's wants to protect its copyright, because as I said, part of maintaining your copyright is enforcement. Otherwise, it becomes public domain in various elements. And he went, Etsy, that huge thing that's the Wild West. Yes. Give me money and I'll enforce your copyright. Okay. What strange magics will you use? I look for the name of your product, and then I use the search engine on there for the name of your product, and then I have a mail merge, and I send it to Etsy. Oh, well. Anyway, here's all the money, and oh yes, all that copyright's gone. And yes, the people who make the product obviously were very, very angry, but as Claire was saying, it's because they'd lived in this vacuum, and suddenly someone went, here's the law, and we're enforcing it. And that's the thing.
Also, someone should tell that guy that he's not supposed to deep throat the boot, because what the heck? Dude, comrade, what the hell?
I have
Come on,
opinions.
man.
They are not necessarily, this is this thing, but it is the difference between fair use and copyright breach is enforcement, and now you are getting enforcement of it, and it's always going to favor the person who owns the copyright, because if it doesn't, then things
It all
break
falls
horribly.
apart.
Yeah. I mean, your husband would be out of a job, Claire. So
Yeah. Well, certainly
Yeah.
have a good job.
yeah, I'd get a different job. But yeah.
He'd be shit at other jobs, really.
Yeah.
He's too good at being a snitch now. He can't survive outside.
But again, I am not in favor of the current laws. There is a reason I read up so much on micro licenses, but that's the current state of it.
There's also a big difference between the kind of things that my husband deals with and the absolute minefield that is unworked out gaming copyright with regards to Twitch. Very different.
Oh,
it's a bit more black and white with him, shall I say?
The gaming copyright on Twitch is actually relatively straightforward. That's the problem.
Mm.
It is all worked out. It's just that it's worked out on a system before Twitch became an issue, and before where big game co's kind of like, well, they can't put into their contract, if you want to go on Twitch and play it a bit, that's cool. But if you take the piss, we'll take you to court. But man, be cool. It'll all be groovy. They can't put that in a legal document.
For taking the piss.
Yeah.
Twitch versus the US, 19 whatever.
We do believe all this bunch of sprogs took the piss, and I'll defend.
God damn it! Do you legally find them to have been taking the piss?
That is the problem. These are very nuanced situations that need to be done in a simple black and white form, and that means it's going to break.
Or at least
which sucks.
It devolve/evolve into a different way that we're not prepared for. Like, it won't ever stop. We have to always think, how is it going to affect us in the future?
Yeah.
But I think because, as I said earlier, it's only been a recent thing where people have been like DMCA'd for something like that. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with the comment, Decadane.
I agree with the comment, but
it's like, how are we going to stay ahead of the curve? But that's life. It's business. It's always about thinking about how things are going to change and what we can do to get around it. So
because for everyone, the other thing to remember is for every person sitting there at home showing off how ninja they are with Guitar Hero to 3 mates, there's someone sitting there trying to work out how they can make huge amounts of money ripping off someone's IP. And the people who are out to properly rip people off and properly break copyright are always going to be looking for that edge, and they're always going to try and find it at just the point where people are allowed to get away with effectively copyright breach. And that's messy. And yeah, as I said earlier, what you're saying about platforms for games company, it's free marketing platform for the games companies. Yes, there is a lot of evidence that Twitch is useful, but no one's actually worked out how useful it is. Tracking it, working out how useful it is not being done. Until then, companies are like, well, we don't know how much money he's making, but we know how much money that guy made, because Claire did the maths.
Well, I didn't. Somebody else did.
Someone found it, yeah.
Ninja.
Yeah.
I stole it. I stole their copyright, Andy.
Oh no!
Let me cite my
worry.
sources lest I get struck.
It's effectively a list, so you're fine.
And I'm using it for parody, so it comes under fair use.
Oh, don't. It's... Yeah. It gets so messy. Any more thoughts on this, Mel, or anyone else? Why is my voice going squeak? No? Okay. In which case, good luck, everyone. We're giving the mic to Claire.
How dare you? I have been nothing if not polite and
You have
mildly
been
enraged
polite
through them.
and wonderful
treasure.
and delightful, and this is her intro picture.
No, I don't think Conan.
Possibly one of the greatest paintings ever put on canvas at the top there. I don't know. There's so much like captured in that guy's face. I felt dirty sullying it with the BBC logo, but there you go. Right. I suppose I better do some talking then. Right. So I spoke earlier about how Laura's topic, and in a way even Mel's topic, kind of dovetails into what I'm going to talk about, which is the fact that several news outlets have been reporting this year and last year of a downward trend in people taking up TV licenses. And for those of you not in the UK, which frankly I don't think there are any, but I'll quickly go over it, is you have to pay if you want to watch live television in the UK on any of the what are called terrestrial channels, which sounds very dated when I say it, but and that's basically BBC One, 2, and ITV, and Channel 4 and Channel 5. I checked, and apparently even the non-BBC ones do cover under the license. If you want to watch TV as it's aired on those channels, you need to have a TV license, which is usually about £10 a month. There is a downward trend in people picking this up, and especially I feel like among several things. The article I shared was a Times article, but there are lots of other articles about it in maybe, I would say, slightly less reputable tabloids that basically just want to blame millennials for, destroying the TV licensing industry or whatever. Team millennials.
Damn young people taking advantages of the new world.
The youth.
The thing that makes me laugh is the fact that I had to think about what some of the reasons why this might be that weren't just the ones the Daily Mail thought of, because surprisingly they focused on certain areas.
Yeah, no more language like that. We do not accept language like that.
I'm sorry. I'll refer to it as the Daily Fail from now on. Okay.
Thank you. That's acceptable. We might have impressionable
I do appreciate,
children.
I'll keep it no stronger than fuck going on.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Anyway.
Some of the reasons why I think people might be moving away from the standard TV license is, it's multifaceted, I think, because funnily enough, I don't think cost is one of the items, because if you think about it, like paying, let's just say for argument's sake, £100 or £120 a year for a TV license is going to be less than Netflix. Well, not if you've just got Netflix, but let's be real, nobody's just got Netflix. People have also got Amazon Prime, they've got Crunchyroll, they've got things like, I'll go into more detail about this later, but things like Shudder, Disney Plus. There are lots and lots and lots of streaming platforms popping up all over the place. Are they sustainable? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Also, some people are just done with the BBC. They don't really have much interest in their content. They prefer things on demand, and while BBC does have an on-demand service, people who have become used to looking for their own entertainment before BBC had an on-demand service are now not going to be like, well, yes, finally I can go and watch Bake Off at 10 o'clock at night, because they've probably just filled that gap with something else. Not that I make it very clear I'm not going to diss Bake Off ever, but so this is interesting because I would like to share a short anecdote from when I was a younger bean. And I lived in Southampton, and I got a knock on the door. Remember when people could knock on our doors and actually come into our house? Oh, sounds fake, but okay.
How did we even let them breathe on us, honestly?
I know. Yeah, he came in and he sat down. Oh, do you know what? It gives me
Did you sue?
Sense. Anyway. Sorry?
Did you sue them for, knocking on your door?
Do you know what? Maybe I still can, but I think the statute of limitations might have expired. But so he came in. He was a very nice elder gentleman. Probably shouldn't have let him in my house, but I was an idiot. And I said to him, I don't think I need a TV license, actually. Oh, I should have mentioned he's from the TV licensing company, or at least he said he was.
And I was like, what's the strange mention?
And he said, oh, you need a TV license. He hadn't asked me any questions. He didn't know anything about what my setup was. I didn't have any TV channels tuned in at the time because I just moved in and I wasn't really planning on it. And I said, well, I don't watch TV. Do I still need it? Oh, yes, he said. And he signed me up and left. And after that TV license expired, I have never had another one since, because I'm still so mad about the lie that he told me. Because you do not need a TV license if you do not watch programs from BBC One to ITV, Channel 5 as they are playing. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a lie. And iPlayer counts as well. So, and ITV On Demand, anything that they play, you need a TV license for. But if you don't, which, let's be frank, a lot of us don't, you don't need it. So yeah, a lot of people, maybe like me, had similar experiences where they were basically railroaded into saying that they needed one, but they didn't. And our generation, we are fucking spiteful bitches, and we will fucking take that £10 and we will shove it somewhere that they can't get it, So maybe I gave up my TV license out of spite, but there's also lots of other reasons to give it up, because it's a kind of thing like there's never anything on TV. Even now there's never anything on TV, but there's things on YouTube. There are people making their own content, which goes into Twitch, and also the fact that Netflix and the anime coming over from Twitch. So it does kind of join up with all the other things that we've been talking about this evening. And I'm thinking I could sit on BBC knowing that I paid for the privilege of being bored, or I could go and, and obviously I've paid for all these other things too, but at least I'm getting something from it that I enjoy. So if I want to go and watch some anime, I've got Crunchyroll. If I want to go and watch a Disney film, I've got Disney Plus. Now, some people might say that this is content dilution, because I'm not sure that's the right use of that phrase, but basically, if you want to, I sent another picture to Andrew, but I don't know if it's
Which one?
available to put up. The Mandalorian.
Baby!
Yeah. So the Mandalorian is an example of a breakout success from a very niche streaming service. Now, I think it might seem weird to call Disney niche, but you have to pay separately for Disney Plus. And a lot of people were annoyed about it, but a lot of people still went and did it, because they really wanted to see this show. And BBC doesn't have this show. You can pay your TV license and never see Baby Yoda. Now, I don't think that's a good use of your money, but I'm not your mum. So people are signing up to Disney Plus to see The Mandalorian, and they're signing up to Crunchyroll because they want to see the anime that they would like to see. And Crunchyroll, and I don't think people realize quite how much anime is on Crunchyroll. It's terrifying.
So much,
like, don't start
so
scrolling. You will be there for weeks.
Yeah,
and
like
by
a
the
lifetime.
end, you'll just hate everything about Japan by the end, because you'll be like, why do you keep making this stuff? And you think, if I just started watching it, it'll be fine. But now I've just read the same description over and over again. I just want to. Anyway, that's my own damage, and I'm not going to take anyone else to task for it. So I'm just reading through what I've got on my notes here.
I've got the other two images to say.
What was the other image I sent through? Oh, it's the Bake Off.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to quickly talk about the Bake Off because I want to make it very clear that I am not in the camp of filthy casuals watching Bake Off. I'm actually higher tier big brain going to Netflix, because the thing about Bake Off is that it brings people together. Good TV brings people together, and that is something that doesn't matter where you get it from. And the thing about the Bake Off always being at the same time, always being on the same channel, people who are used to that kind of structure will get together. I know for a fact that my family chat blows up on whatever day flipping Bake Off is on. And I actually said in my family chat last time, I don't know what's going on. I think it's some kind of cake Thunderdome and 2 cakes enter and 1 cake leaves. And I wish all the cake favour. And all the people who watched it were like, you know what? Yeah, that is what it is. But they were having a great time. And the point is, I do not want to come across as, ew, well, if you watch TV, you don't love entertainment like I do. Bollocks to that. I say enjoy EastEnders, enjoy the Bake Off. If you want to pay your license, fine, but there are lots of people who are not, for very good reasons. With the dilution of everything, or rather, not so much dilution as the separation of things into lots of different specific pots, like Disney, Crunchyroll, Netflix, Shudder, which I don't like horror enough to buy, but there's some really good true crime documentaries on there that I'm just like.
It's Shudder is great. It's one of the best horror services going.
So this segment sponsored by Shudder. Not kidding. No, I am. Shudder. I'm going to make some very, very DMCA strikeable scream noises. Anyway, but so there has been an argument, and Andrew, please restrain yourself, but there has been an argument, which I disagree with, that the separation of all of this product over lots of different streaming services has led to a rise in piracy. Now, that might be true, and it probably is true, actually, but what it isn't is okay. So people are saying, oh, well, I don't want to pay for this, I don't want to pay for that. And in this time where everything is available for a bit of coin, there's no reason to pirate it. And it just because you can't be bothered to pay for it, ooh, no fam, no. So, but it can't be discounted that piracy is on the rise as a result of people feeling that they are owed content, which is behind a paywall on a specific streaming service. So these are all the things that I kind of wanted to discuss with you all. It's not really a very structured introduction. I just wanted to know, what does it say? What have I written there? That's my own writing. Nerds know what they like, less likely to watch stuff they don't like. Oh, there you go. That's the kind of genius level notes I've got here. And I've written brackets, not ragging on anyone. So, I'm not ragging on anyone. And it says here, oh, that's an interesting point. Thank you, Past Claire. So there are a lot of millennials who are still living with their parents through no fault of their own. It's the frickin' economy. Don't at me. And the problem is millennials are now at least 30. We are not kids anymore. And the social problems caused by staying in your parents' house when you really would like to go, you want your own space, you're an adult, you've been an adult for nearly half your life. And one of the things that you might want to do is not sit in your family's front room while they're watching Antiques Roadshow. You might want to go and watch something else. And thanks to smartphones, you now can. So people are getting trained into going outside of the standard and going somewhere because they want some time to themselves. So they're more likely to go upstairs, get the Netflix app on their phone and watch Devilman Crybaby than they are going to sit. Because it's not even the programming anymore. It's the fact that maybe they don't want to sit with their parents like they're 10. You know, they want to maybe, and this has nothing to do with like them disliking their parents. It's the fact that they're 30 and they want to go and do their own thing. So this is an interesting point that maybe has some merit in it. I'm lucky enough that I am not with my parents, but you know, a lot of people are, and it's. I'm interested to see the number of millennials who are still living at home and how it correlates with TV licenses going down as they leave home.
That's a very good point, actually, as well. I mean, if you break it down to how much Netflix charge per month, Crunchyroll subs per month, if you divided BBC TV license, in general, is still like $10.99, $11.99 a month, and that's like double what other streaming services are. So that's
I fully accept that I pay way more than that per month for all my streaming, but you know, I'm fine with it because I'm not paying.
Absolutely. I mean, when piracy was a thing, it was to obtain things that legitimately weren't watchable. Now you can watch them on your phone, which doubles as a
£157.50
per year. That's gone up since the last time I reviewed it.
Okay, so that's what £12.50 or something per month, roughly.
It's under 15 quid a month.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, I mean,
13 quid.
When we were all young millennials / zennials, and like, you know, just having your own television was amazing.
I had my own television. It was incredible.
Lucky. I think I was like 20 before I got mine.
It was like this big and a cube, and I could have killed someone with it.
Perfect. Watching videos, and you'd have to get someone who knew someone who had an NTSC recorder, who knew a pen pal in America, who'd do them a copy and ship it. You'd have to. There's so many things that you had to do to watch weird stuff. I mean, even in the 80s, like video nasties were going around because they were quote banned in the UK. You'd have to know someone who had a copy, and you'd either have to borrow it and trust them, or make a copy yourself to watch stuff. Like now, there literally is no excuse. Even if you don't have a TV license, just Netflix or just Amazon Prime or something is still a couple of quid a month. And I absolutely agree. It's just laziness now. It's not,
and I think it comes down to what. Sorry to interrupt, Laura. It comes down to what Mel's point was about the fact that a lot of this stuff is a luxury. Entertainment is a luxury, and people have not been used to it being a luxury. We have all been spoiled with our entertainment availability, and now it's moved from, oh my god, I can get this, to, oh my god, I deserve this. And
absolutely.
I can see how we got there, but
sorry, Andy, you can see that in people who are really funny about the mask thing. Like they're angry because they can't have their 2-3 holidays a year, and it's like, that's a luxury. It's not a privilege. It's not a right, that is a luxury. And you can absolutely see it in people that have kind of never had to wait for anything, maybe in the past 10 years or anything like that. So it's definitely a problematic aspect of 21st century people.
I have to share one tiny anecdote, which is when I was a kid, my friend sent £5, like a £5 note. How? Like that, yeah. A £5 note to an address, a physical address, a postal address on the internet, and they were told that they would get an anime video back. And I said, how do you know? And she said, I don't know, but let's be real, it's only a £5, I don't care. And I don't know if she ever got it. That was how we used to get our shit, guys. Like, seriously. But anyway, we're danger of getting off topic here, but I think there's a lot of aspects as to why the TV license is on the decline. But there, I mean, my sister, who is younger than me, by a few years, I know she has one. I know she watches the Bake Off. I know all of my family members probably have one, and I'm wondering how much of that is cultural inertia, because that is what they're used to.
Some of it is usage. I went and had a look, and the BBC have done a lot of research on this. A lot of it was independent. Around 94% of the UK population use the BBC licensed services each week.
I saw that figure, and I thought that seemed very high. But
no. They
said something like 8 out of 10 young people use it, and I'm like, how are you judging young people?
They
might be living at home.
No, they do huge amount. The BBC research model is really solid. But yeah, they've seen a decline in about 250,000 licenses per
And
year.
they're saying some of those are to do with evasion, which is interesting.
Some of them are to do with evasion, but they themselves also said, and I quote from their most recent report, due to a lower than expected increase in the number of new households created, a fall in the estimated percentage of households which require a TV license, as people, particularly young ones, switch to viewing content online via subscription, video on demand services, and social media. So, as you said, people aren't moving out of home. They're not making new households, so they don't need. If you got 2 generations, 3 generations living in a house, they only need one They only need one license.
Also, COVID. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this year for sure.
And the young, that's going to slow it down.
But the number of new houses is one thing. The amount of
households.
People... Okay, so we talked about building the number of new houses, right? And then, but who can afford to move out when the national wage has stagnated, when job opportunities are going down as well? So this is economic completely.
Yeah, they're saying it's a there is an increase in the number of households created, but that is slowing down. But yeah, the BBC estimates the actual evasion rate is at about 6.95%. This has increased, and it is likely to increase because they've decriminalised not having a TV license. So whereas before it was a criminal act, it's now you can effectively get sued and all that stuff.
I forgot to mention, actually, as part of my introduction, the reason that prompted me to actually bring this up is I got a letter from TV licensing. And now whenever I get those letters, it's like, God, I side-eyed so hard, I caused myself a strain. But
are they still in a brown envelope? In a window envelope?
Sorry?
Are they still in a brown envelope?
Yeah.
No, they don't look quite that scary. But, well, the one that I got anyway, because it was basically telling me, your declaration of not needing a TV license is about to expire. They last for 2 years. So I needed to go in and renew it. And but back when I was in Southampton, after I stopped paying it the first time, I started getting the scary brown letters, and I started getting told, we're going to take you to court. We're going to take you to court. They still hadn't asked me any questions about what I was doing, to the point where I got to the point where I was so fed up with them that I wrote them a letter and I said, if you do not stop harassing me, I will take you to court. And I never heard from them again, because they used to be. That was back in the days when it was criminal. And they were going after me because I was clearly someone who just got their own house, rented their own house, and they were like, she was an easy mark, we'll do it again. And I'm like, no, never again. And I think all the movements towards decriminalizing it and making it free for elderly people, have they done that yet? Or are they still being conservatives about it?
I think they might have upped the limit.
All good.
No, the conservatives brought it in, but that has affected the finances on it. Just so you know, you belong to a group of 1.38 million people who currently have no license needed certificates. So you've actually gone and that number is also growing.
Everybody should have. Go onto the website. You answer 2 or 3 questions, and they try and scare you, going, "Oh, but are you going to start watching TV?" And you're just looking at the TV like, "Is it going to make me?" No, you are control. You're in control of your destiny, and you don't need a TV license. Don't let them bully you.
Part of the problem is if they're well, not part of the problem, but it's things like if you. I can remember when I bought a TV card for my computer.
Oh, for your computer,
just so I could plug in consoles. I had to go through a whole ignorant thing about. In the shop, I had to fill out a form declaring, and it used to be, I haven't bought a TV in I don't know how long, but it also used to be if you were buying a monitor, you'd get questioned. I can remember being questioned about that a couple of times. I'm like, because I really want to watch telly on this piece of crap.
God, if only this computer is great. It runs Warcraft really well. The only thing that I wish it did is play Coronation Street. That would just be the icing on the cake. What's Albert gonna do now? I don't know who's in Coronation.
Talking of other numbers that I've found. So
what he
with
does for
regards
fun,
to
everyone, just fine stuff.
it's how I get my shits and giggles. 53% of all households in the UK subscribe to at least one video on demand service, and that's going up about 5% from last year. And 24% are subscribed to 2 or more services. So that is pretty much the majority of people have now got a subscription service that wouldn't be liable for it. Although it gets complicated because there are elements of Amazon Prime Video, Now TV, and Sky Go, which are live broadcasts. So they would require a TV license.
I don't
So
think
they're now-
Amazon Prime would. The other two, I'm not
No,
sure.
the Amazon Prime is directly referenced by the TV licensing, and it was directly referenced in a BBC article because they're doing live footy.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
That's another thing I wish my computer had. God, I
can
wish
also-
no, it didn't.
but you can also do live stream. You can also do live streams on Facebook and YouTube, and so I don't know where that's heading. And there are currently 15 major UK streaming services. I don't quite know what defines it as major, but 15 major services. Christ knows how many smaller ones. We found one on our telly yesterday, Plus TV.
No,
so we
had
TV.
I was gonna bring up Pluto TV,
That's
and I've
the
just
one.
found it. Can I?
Pluto
All right,
TV.
so
Yeah.
this had come up on my phone as an app, but it didn't show anything that I was interested at the time. Maybe about a year ago, and then we found it that it streams through our Virgin TV TiVo service.
Yeah.
Hosts apps, and it's Pluto.tv, which is 100 plus live TV channels and thousands of movies and TV shows on demand for free. It's free, it's legal, no credit cards, contracts, or bills, on demand content. So you basically got live programming. You've got an entire channel dedicated to Dog the Bounty Hunter, an entire channel dedicated to just dogs, just watching dogs, dog content. You're there, right? There's loads and loads of really odd.
I just gotta go. Give me.
You've bored me now with your talk. I must watch dogs.
There's dogs.
There's
I'm just hearing the
entire
dogs.
channel dedicated to playing the old American Super Mario Brothers Super Show and Mario 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog animations. Like that's all it plays, Mario and Sonic.
Yeah.
Loads of old B movies, loads of reality shows from the past 15 years. It's so strange. And I'm like, where did this come from?
And how is it making money? But it
How
is.
it making money. It is. But yeah, Pluto.tv, it's recently Happy Days. What have we got? Family Ties, Beverly Hills, Mission Impossible, The Love Boat, Wings. It's like, wow, this is a lot of stuff that I grew up watching.
Owned by Viacom, which is interesting. Viacom CBS.
But
Actually, the logo looked very CBS. I'm sorry, I've realised that with everyone else we went round and I didn't. I just kind of threw it at everybody's face.
That's
and as a
fine.
result,
Your section.
Mel has been being very polite, and I
Your
haven't
section, your
called on her
call.
yet. No, but I want to hear what Mel thinks, and
I've
we're
just
all
been
too noisy
interjecting
and
with
rambunctious.
fun little tidbits.
Mel, do you have a TV license?
I do. I think we do. I don't even know. I don't even know if we're still paying for a TV license, but I don't watch live TV. I think the only time that we've ever watched live TV is New Year's Eve when we watch the fireworks. That's literally
Yeah, that is one
And
that a lot
even
of
then,
people still
we
watch.
have to do it through the iPlayer because for some reason our connection to terrestrial TV, BBC One, just doesn't work. We have to watch it through the iPlayer. So
That
it's
is strange.
what am I even paying you for?
I'm going to confess the Super Fortress has a TV license, but that's because I am addicted to Radio 4.
You're allowed
and
to have
we-
a TV license.
Well, no,
No.
being someone who's an absolute netizen, it's like, yeah, but I also listen to I do some live. I
You
just
should be able to access everything you want. It's just historically the BBC have
Yeah.
had a very pugilistic approach to entertainment and I think I wrote in my intro the end of mandatory entertainment because I've never liked being told what to do, and to me having to watch what was on TV at certain times nah.
It is.
You know what? Even as a kid, Felf, I would record it and watch it later if I could.
There you go.
Or I'd just take them and watch them. I'd like properly mainline it and just watch them all together, sort of thing.
Back in the day, when you get the Christmas radio times and you'd go around and
gosh.
right, you're setting the time for this,
yes.
for this, for
Back
this.
in the
Jumpers for goalposts.
You get radio times and TV time.
Wasn't it? Oh,
regional
marvellous.
as well.
God, we sound like a
God,
copy of Ready Player 2. Anyway,
So many articles had like a list of because I actually, as part of this, I went to try and Google what the BBC's flagship shows were, because my immediate thought was Bake Off, but obviously that's gone from the BBC now. That's on Channel 4. And I looked down the list and I was like, honey, it's all you've got Top Gear? Because frankly, I can find racists on my own, on the internet with no help. So if I wanted to speak to bigoted white men, there's plenty. I don't need to pay a TV license.
You're a woman
Amazon,
on the internet. Just have an opinion and they'll magically appear.
Have an opinion, appear female, the opposite of Probit. Yeah, that's
sorted. Apologies for anyway. No, it's much like what we were discussing earlier. Both the other topics, the TV license. Whilst there is a large debate to have about, how should we have a BBC? What are the benefits? What are the pros? What are the cons? The actual license itself comes from an era when, if you had a television, you were watching BBC because that's all that existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an artifact of a very bygone era. You can very easily do without, but then you don't get the community. Yeah. Surprisingly,
the community. You're saying the community.
We don't get to watch things at the same time unless we schedule it. Like the only time we see each other in real life now is at a convention, because that's the one thing that's going to happen and not move.
Or on Trash or Treasure.
Thank you for plugging my wonderful series. But it gives people, there is something about a communal experience. Should we ever be allowed to return to offices in the after times, which apparently are coming, there is something about the water tower conversation, the tea room conversation. Did you see this on telly? That the removal of live broadcast TV, which is essentially the argument for, against the TV license at the moment, is I don't watch stuff live. That's the most solid argument to not pay it. There is something about that time specific thing that was a bit of a cultural touchstone.
There is. I mean, I got into Bake Off because everybody was talking about it at work, and it was just another nice thing to talk to my colleagues about as well. And then I got into it.
Honestly,
it's like the football league for people
TV, and I understand how people get into it. I'm not into it, but I absolutely could be into it.
Totally.
One other fun fact I found, which I'm going to hammer in because I spent time on this. 42% of streaming is still done on TVs. It's still, even with all this time shifting and other gadgets and all that, the single favorite platform is still the actual big TV display. Although,
I
mean, I've got a PS4, but I use my TV screen to actually. Why would you downgrade to a monitor if you got the TV right there?
Exactly. We started watching Netflix more as soon as the app was available on the TiVo, and we put it on a nice big telly.
We only started using Amazon when it got put on.
When it was the next channel up on version. Yeah. And then seeing the Channel 4 app, which we only discovered this week was available on TiVo. I can't wait for Disney Plus to get on TiVo. I hope that they're working on it. Pluto TV and Crunchyroll and Funimation, I can cast them via Chromecast or whatever, but I actually ended up having to give up my Crunchy subscription because it was not buffering. Our internet was poor. Just so many tech problems plaguing it. I was like, I'd actually just be better off watching something on Netflix or Amazon Prime because it streams better, because it just goes straight through the TV.
I will say the PS4 is great for that, because you just literally go to services and it's just like a button for each one. And it's, for an idiot like me, it's just like,
the number of TVs which have got it loaded in that you can just an app.
Is it just me, or have we stopped watching as many DVDs because streaming by pressing a button cuts out the extra steps?
Well,
look at these. I will probably never watch these again, and that makes me sad, but also they're a relic of the bygone era. You see that long thin one there? There's something called CDs, which I don't know what they're for, but they make really good coasters.
Like 8 tracks. They like
I
Laserdiscs.
can't remember Muso. I can't remember the last time I used the CD.
Because a lot of the people who like collect soundtracks and stuff, they're going into vinyl now because we're all vinyl wankers.
To the con.
That's what
Even-
the Discord is for.
In the car.
Even
Eamon's
then,
right. That is literally it.
even then, I've signed up for Amazon Music, so I'm streaming off my phone because Amazon Music's and Bandcamp have got Petrol Bastard on them, so everything's fine. You don't need anything else.
All my music pretty much has come from Bandcamp or Amazon, actually, in the past 2 years
Spotify
now.
for me, I do
Spotify.
enjoy Spotify. I have it. I pay for it because I just really like convenience, and I think that's a lot of the things that older people maybe don't understand about millennials and zennials is that we are happy to pay a bit of the money we earn for a slightly better experience. We don't have to suffer everything every day to save 20p. We're not going to do it.
The biggest reason I got into Netflix was because it had when it first came out, it had a really solid sci-fi and horror section. And that just wasn't available anywhere else. You didn't get that on terrestrial TV. You had to go and buy the discs. So having that just there, where I didn't have to spend, at the time, a tenner on a DVD or muck around with Love Film.
Yeah,
it was glorious.
Love Film.
Didn't Netflix used to be Love Film?
Yeah, I think that was where
they
I
used to
signed up
post
on it.
things back and forth through the actual postal service.
I got signed up to it at uni because there were people in the high street who would drag all the students in and be like, "You want a Love Film trial, don't you?"
Help! We're dying! Save us!
literally
We can see the end. It's coming!
And I think either me or James has a Love Film disc lying around somewhere that we can never return.
I think everyone does. It's like a thing that you have in your house.
I mean, that's how we got Netflix, because Andy was like, "Oh yeah, well my subscription's changed into Netflix, and we get this streaming now." And I was like, "All right." So at the time when Andy and I were living together, we were on different shifts for our jobs. So we'd each, when we were at home waiting for the other or whatever, we'd be doing our thing, but also watching Netflix. So we'd kind of be watching the same series and then catch up with each other, and then like watch it at the weekend. It was kind of cute. And now they gave each other accounts, so I don't sully Andy's account with all the anime that I've been watching now.
No. It was when you were watching what's it, Manor?
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. And it just and it was on I came downstairs, I wanted to watch something, and it just said, "You may also be interested in."
It actually said it in that voice.
Old people in costumes.
Your Netflix talks.
Yeah.
In Andrew's voice.
Vintage drama or mystery of the pyramids, and I was just like, "What have you done?"
Aliens.
It just went straight. It just went Downton Abbey, costume drama. Costume drama. Is ley lines real? And I'm just like, who did this?
Who is this person?
I have a similar thing.
And then the day after, we had a Facebook argument about this actual thing on Andy's page. And I say argument in the loosest way. Yeah. The very next day, we booted up Netflix, and then accounts appeared. So we could set up Andy, Laura, everybody else. I was like,
saved our relationship.
Save the man. Mel, you were saying something.
Sorry, the situation, because at the moment I share Netflix with a friend of mine who just to spread the cost and everything.
We don't judge. We just shop you into Netflix.
Yeah, that's true.
Working with that Etsy guy.
And I think we shared an account, and then she gave me my own account because she's getting fed up with all the anime stuff that I was getting regular. And she doesn't watch anime at all. She's very much a classic white lady, bless her. But
yeah, basic.
Yeah, basic. Yeah, I still remember the first.
Basic. But I was just like, yeah, sorry.
I still remember the first movie I watched in Netflix.
What was it? Go on.
Gladiator Cop.
Oh.
That's a B movie if ever I heard of. Are we going to watch that on Trash or Treasure now?
No, I'm not going to inflict that on other people. It was such a snooze
I need
fest.
to know which time period that's set in.
Modern day.
Which makes it
Nope,
less
I
sense.
can't imagine it. Can't imagine it at all.
Yeah, no. The guy finds out that he was a gladiator in a previous life, and it gets worse from there.
We're not talking like Rhino, are we? We're talking about
No. Unfortunately, that would be brilliant if they were American Gladiator cop. But yeah.
Do you imagine like the police come and they, instead of like bringing out a gun, they bring out this giant Q-tip and just smack you down?
That would be worth
would
watching.
go down like crazy, but like concussions would go up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. As a kid, I was so desperate to do like that, the Krypton Factor assault course. And now I'm just like this housebound gremlin, and I'm just like, everybody can go away. Wear a mask.
Well, I told you, didn't I? I had to weigh myself for a life insurance thing the other day, and I was like, dude, I'm not even mad. I'm just I'm approaching critical mass, and I'm kind of proud of myself. Not going to be on gladiators unless I just sit on anyone and kill them,
Look, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. If you put a couple on, it's not a massive problem.
No. I've just put on a couple of people.
Yeah,
basically.
I literally am 1.5 husbands now, and I think I'm
assert
I went to him
dominance.
and he was just like,
just use it to assert dominance on him. If he ever argues with you, just turn around and go him. I have more gravity.
I am 1.5 of you, sir.
Time technically flows slower for you than him.
Yeah, I can just pick a biscuit out of my orbit and be like, while maintaining eye contact.
Oh God, that would be
Eating
so
biscuits,
cool.
like...
We may have moved on.
Biscuits orbiting me because I'm so large. Anyway.
That's not what I meant.
No, it's what I meant. Can you imagine how good it would be being the centre of a freaking a confectionery solar system?
Oh boy.
I think it's those like we did have that communal experience though, like with sex chess. Sorry,
Sex chess.
Queen's Gambit. I'm sorry.
Queen's Gambit on Netflix.
Yeah,
which is basically
Yes.
sex chess. Sex chess.
that was included.
chess.
Strip chess was included in it, which is one of the reasons I called it that. But that was very much lots of people watching it all. That still had the like critical everyone watching it thing. But I think if they'd done that because the Mandalorians, they do one episode a week, which I think really works. So there is that kind of gated time thing.
I do like a drip feed. Watching something every week just kind of stretches things out. Like Twin Peaks, whether you like the third season or not, it was drip fed every week, which was nice. The thing about the Queen's Gambit is it's 7 episodes, which is an odd number, 1 hour each, but it's so intense, so we ended up only being able to kind of watch 1 episode a day anyway, so it was like watching it, but binging it gently. that Fuji's song, binging it gently.
It's an old UK season, though, isn't it? 7 episodes, because the Red Dwarf series is 7 episodes.
That's right, 6, 7, 8 episodes, so that was good, but that's a good record.
Talking of being too intense, I can't deal with more than 1 episode of Auntie Donna a day, much as I love those guys.
Oh God, I could only
same.
I physically could only do 2 episodes of that a day because I was just too exhausted.
It is actually adore them for being so weird. And Keith, basically, Keith's watched it already. My husband's already watched it, and he's watching it again with me. And he's watching it like this. Here's the TV. Here's me, and he's just like. Because he's loving my reaction to it. And at one point, I'll just be like, what is happening? And he'll be like, it's great.
They're so good. I like the songs the best as well.
They're so good,
really, really good.
Anything could be a drum. Yeah, no, Auntie Donna. Auntie Donna is a fantastic example of how. I mean, that would never get made previously, but they just went, what do people want? People want this. And they knew they could do it, and it is doing great numbs.
They tried to get a show. They've been trying to get a show in Australia for a really long time, and they have basically been told, in their words, fuck off. But they eventually went to Netflix, and Netflix saw something in them. Kitty!
Coming over here, girl.
I can just see a tail there. And they're fantastic. And they're just so funny, and they're basically the next generation of people like cat, like The Mighty Boosh, and just that surrealist, odd comedy, which is just so very funny.
It's very short blast because they learnt their craft their film craft. They learn on YouTube where you've got to get in, hit them, keep them stuck. So that was very interesting to see, and they're just.
I recommend everyone goes and watches
hilarious.
Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun because it's freaking great.
It is
Netflix,
brilliant.
Netflix.
Anyway, we are coming to the end of the Big Stomp because that time flew past. Oh my god! You guys are coming on again. It's sorry,
I
you
had a
people are
great
coming on again.
time. I had a great time. Thanks very much for inviting us.
It was fun. And I promise I will pick maybe a topic that's a little less dry next time. Although I didn't stop.
Yeah.
Not at
We'll pick
That's
a topic
fine.
that you can do more of a fun intro to. Yeah.
Thanks,
We'll
Gaga.
try and find
Thanks.
some. And I promise next time to.
Thanks.
Gaga's like, shut up, mum.
Gaga!
I promise next time to be.
Mummy Steve!
I promise next time to be a cat. I promise next time to get your name right and not misgender because
He won't.
I'm
He
used
won't.
to
It's
it.
fine. It's just. I was trying to work out if you're doing it on purpose. And
No!
like, fair play, son.
I'm seriously dyslexic and terrible with names. Anyway, that was Big Stomp for November here on in the Bunkazilla bunker. So thank you very much to Laura. Does Laura have anything to plug?
Do I have anything to plug? Oh, well, I've nearly finished a chapter of my comic. So I do a very long-running comic, Biomecha. I've been running that since the mid-90s. It's on tapas.io/Biomecha series/Biomecha, I think. So I'm looking forward to finishing that at the end of the year, having a very tiny break, and then starting the final chapter, which is so big. It's going to have to be it's the final chapter. But it's so chapter 12 is so massive. I've actually written the page count. So the first part is going to be 63 pages, and then the second part is going to be 78 pages. But then it's done.
And
it's done.
And having had a preview to what's probably going to be in it, each issue is going to come with a box of Kleenex and a suicide pill because it's going to be.
I mean, it's going to be.
It's going to get worse at the end of volume 2. The crying.
I know.
There's going to be so much crying and life will be bereft.
That broke my heart. I felt to say,
You
to
should
say
all read
already-
Biomecha and then cry.
Yeah.
sad. And I honestly think that's the reason why it's taken me so long to finish it, because now it's too sad.
Yes.
Too sad. But it's the ending. It's developed and it's cooked and it's ready and it's penciled and it
I mean,
just.
how
needs
long does it
to
take to kill everybody else? I mean,
Kill? No, this is Biomecha. No, you don't kill people. Killing is letting them off light.
oh no.
No, this not.
Devour them all. It's fine. They'll all die.
Swear-
And Squishy like,
Stare at the void, and the Squishy Chan stares back at you. So look forward to this joyful madness. So I don't know what comic I'll draw afterwards, but I think I would like a little bit of a holiday.
And huge snaps and thanks to Mel. Woo! Snap.
Great.
What's
to see
Mel
you,
up
Mel.
to?
Yeah, what
Is
are you
Mel
playing?
plugging anything? Stop
what
lying, you do nothing.
well, at the moment, I'm just living my lockdown life being a massive MMO junkie and living vicariously through my Final Fantasy 14 character. But in the off chance I do what, you can look at my Instagram, which is at Instagram Freya Rule is my. It's just the same as my username everywhere else.
Freya
And,
Rule. I'm going to type that out so that people can find you
Yeah, go
as
for it.
well. Yeah.
No?
But yeah, you have a look on
Freya
there where
Rule.
I most likely put all of my art is stuff. Farouk.
Mel's Insta Freya Rule.
Oh, I got banned for writing fuck in the chat. Oh man.
So Freya and Felf and our friend Chai, I've known you
There's
from.
no way I'm going to attempt that. There's no way I'm going to attempt that.
I've pretty much known you all with those usernames since the early 2000s, haven't I? Sweatshop forums, where we all met on the internet many, many years ago. Isn't that nice?
No thanks to the BBC, I have to say.
My online name may be garbage, but at least it's pronounceable with just one go.
Laura, I'm pretty sure you critiqued one of my old art pieces back when I was like a teenager. And
I
Me
you
know,
were
too.
like- And you were like, your anatomy needs work, and I was like, oh. And now I look back at it, and I was like, yeah, it does.
To be fair, all of my anatomy still needs work, so it's the advice I take for myself.
I'm gonna confess the number of times I've been dragged into her lair where she's just been like, "I need to borrow your hand." I'm like, "What?" And then it's, "Don't move." Just,
Is this the only reason that we all got married? Because we needed references.
References.
I don't use James, I use models.
yeah. And finally, massive thanks to Claire. So snap.
Snap, snap, Felflowne, Felflowne,
Felflowne.
Felflowne,
Felflowne.
Felflowne, knee.
Felflowne.
Yeah, you're all gonna remember it now, bitches.
Felflowne.
I'm like the wonderful Freya. I'm also living my best lockdown life.
Good.
Where I'm pretty inactive at the moment in general and online. One of them's a new thing, the other isn't. And but if you do want to keep up with me and what I'm up to, the best place to probably do that is Instagram, which is I'm on instagram.com/Felflowne, which is FELFLOWNE. I'm not posting that much of the stuff at the moment. I'm currently having a bit of a up and down mental health time, but I am
It's the
possibly
apocalypse.
going.
It's allowed.
It is the apocalypse, but also I've just found out I might have ADHD. So you can follow my progress through finding out how I'm going to deal with that and how I deal with everything, which is by drawing stupid comics on my Instagram. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please check me out. I'm Felflowne literally everywhere because nobody else would ever have that name because it's stupid, as Andy has made abundantly clear throughout this.
What?
Just because
I
I'm Felflowne everywhere. If you ever find a
I
Felflowne
said
that's
my
not me,
name was dumb, but at least it was
will do a
pronounceable.
DMCA strike against anyone who has got the name Felflowne who is not me, and do not freaking
Copyright,
judge me on that.
isn't it?
any
I
new
had-
social media platform, bang, you're in there with a Felflowne.
I had someone threaten me with that.
They didn't even
Right.
threaten you. They emailed me because I shared a table with you at Thought Bubble.
Speaking
So-
of which, if you want to hit me up, search for Raggedyman,
Yeah.
or if you really hate your life, needlessly aggressive products, at some point we'll do something new.
I tried to find my mug, but I couldn't find it, so this was the closest I could find.
I am going to get some more mugs done because I like money. So, and a big thank to all our viewers, to everyone in the Peanut Gallery. Thank you all
Big
for
thank.
being there for
Thank
us.
you.
If you have a topic for the Stompers to discuss, fire it off to Bunkazilla on Twitter anytime you wonder what we wonder about the wonderment that is the geek culture. I'd also like to give a huge thanks to Station Controller for jumping in last month's Big Stomp when I didn't have a fully functioning eye. That was really nice of him to take charge and jump in at like literally very last moment and do a wonderful show. I will be back. I don't know who I'll be back with, but we will be back for a Big Stomp on the 30th of December. That's going to be for the Big Stomp review of 2020. I don't know how many people are going to be in on that. It'll be fun. There's tons of exciting stuff broadcast here on Bunkazilla on Twitch across the week, as well as loads of reviews, articles, and podcasts at bunkazilla.co.uk. We have on Friday, we have a so much stuff on the I like Lyoko, which I've probably got wrong as well. Dabathon going on.
Claire,
Friday we've got the quiz.
if you do this, can you do the Dragon Ball Fusion?
Oh yeah.
Right. Friday we've got a quiz. Tuesdays we've got Paul and Andrew watch all of Friday the 13th, which we're actually hit halfway. On Thursdays on the Discord we've got Trash or Treasure. It's viewers' choice tomorrow, so it's not my fault. Are any of you guys going to join us for a Trash or Treasure at some point?
Can do.
If I can, I will.
Yeah, just Thursdays. Watch along, because it takes great advantage of streaming. So I'm being really
It's
groovy.
really funny. Just join for the snark. Honestly, we've got like every week. There's just 90 minutes on average of just pure snark, and it'll just lighten up
I
your
don't know, you
Thursday.
guys. I don't think I've actually got it in me to be sarcastic. I'm just.
Do I spy a love?
Who's got the love life clash? Who's got the love life? Is it Mel?
Oh
Is
god!
it Mel? Love life. So these brushes.
There's a whole assortment of fandoms here. We have Disney, we have massive amount of Spider-Gwen merch because my husband has decided that Spider-Gwen is the ultimate waifu. We have Miku Hatsune's. If you're thinking about this plush, that's Anna from Frozen. It's a giant Tsum Tsum.
Oh, I do love a good
On top
Tsum
of
Tsum.
sadness and joy.
I think you've had a laugh, Andy. I think it's been some very enjoyable guests.
I think we have to say goodbye, and I want to say thank you to everyone on this one, and we will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. Goodbye. Bye.